Welcome to Prajna Spark's Full Moon Sit. I am Lama Yeshe, children, and today I invite you into mystery. In the final scene of my favorite movie, Shakespeare in Love, Viola de Lesseps bids farewell to Will Shakespeare before embarking for the New World with Lord Wessex, a man who, despite an uncanny resemblance to Colin Firth, is decidedly less than savory. Viola is leaving behind the man she loves and heading into a life she would never have scripted for herself and does not want. Yet she tells Will that all ends well. Despondent, even resentful, Will asks her, "How does it?" "I don't know," she says. "It's a mystery." That line had been threading throughout the film, usually from the mouth of a feckless producer, Philip Henslowe, who perpetually meets not knowing with a shrug. For Henslowe, mystery is a murky place where accountability goes to die. The chaos he makes of this life is just bad luck, out of his control, rather than the consequences of his own actions. When Viola meets mystery, it's something else altogether. Not drift, not fog. Viola's mystery is a tide, empowerment rising deep from within, unbeknownst even to herself. Today, I'd like to explore not knowing as mystery, both in our experiences of confusion and in our moments of epiphany. Because the great mystery of ever-present Buddha nature is that, on one hand, awakening is not somewhere else. Our true nature is not separate from wisdom, compassion, and power. It is suffused with these. And at the very same time, we manifest as sentient beings, unmoored in the ocean of samsara, with its surging waves of birth, aging, illness, and death. Now, I'm very prone to seasickness, so for me, that word, unmoored, is vividly embodied. Queasiness is no fun. We're vulnerable to all the struggles of ordinary life. And let's face it, we often sidestep discomfort. So when life serves up experiences we find bewildering, naturally, we fumble. We do not know what to do. On one hand, we might stagnate, letting ambivalence corner us in conceptual cul-de-sacs like dust bunnies standing sentinel, waiting for the right time to act. We may even convince ourselves that we are easeful, accepting, wide open. But we can fall into avoidance. At the other extreme, we might spin in a reactive attempt to figure everything out, drafting blueprints for a future that will never arrive, just as we imagined. We might pride ourselves in being dynamic, diligent, and even brave, but we're spinning, kicking up those dust bunnies. We fall into turbulence. Whether static or dynamic, this is inertia. Our struggle to portray capacity over confusion may simply betray our complicity with it. Mystery instead displays confidence amid confusion. Mystery initiates, it motivates, it inspires, not because it knows the map of future landscapes, simply because it does not need to know the ending before it begins. It can open to the next step, and then the one after that. In Tibetan Buddhism, delusion is considered the root of other kleshas, because attachment and aversion arise when mind does not accurately know the nature of experience. We grasp what seems to promise completion. We push away what seems to threaten our self-story. We build an entire world of pushing and pulling out of misperception. So this delusion, or not knowing, confusion, bewilderment, apathy, all of these are translations of this root klesha, timuk in Tibetan. Timuk is not simply one affliction among others, it's the very atmosphere in which the other kleshas mushroom. And yet in Vajrayana, the kleshas are not treated only as things to be rejected. They're recognized as energy, distorted energy, but energy that, in their very essence, is wisdom. Delusion is associated with dharmadhatu wisdom, clear, open, spacious, all accommodating, the vast field in which all possible experience arises. Isn't that remarkable? The very place where we feel foggy, bewildered, obscured, unable to know, is in its very essence a vastness of unhindered, unencumbered knowing. Now, that doesn't mean confusion is profound at the same time that it's confused. It means that its nature is profound wisdom. Confusion is confusion. We know it in our own experience. It doesn't feel like wisdom. Obscuration is obscuration. Fog is fog. In the context of dualistic mind, phenomena stick to their characteristics, stubbornly even. But when grasping around confusion relaxes, when mind stops making an identity out of bewilderment, and we're no longer clinging to not knowing as a reified, fixed position, things start to shift. Its nature can begin to glimmer. We can get glimpses. So it's important to make distinctions here. Even though the nature of Timuk is dharmadhatu wisdom, that doesn't mean that just by waving a magic wand and calling it something else, confusion stops being confusion. Mystery is not delusion wearing moonlight and carrying incense, nor is it vagueness cloaked in Dharma robes. Mystery is that energetic that shines through, what opens mind to recognize that genuine reality is beyond concepts. Mystery is not mute. It motivates, it moves, it innovates and inspires. Not always through explanation or certainty or linear defensible plans laid out in spreadsheets. Sometimes it's a prompting of the body, a warmth or tightening, a softening, a deepening breath, or a sudden stillness. It might just be a strange, unmistakable sense of this way, or not there. Knowing just happens in mystery. Not conceptually, not completely, but there is knowing. That is what I think of as the strange paradox of knowing that I do not know. Yet there is knowing beyond conceptual reach. So thinking or not thinking is not the answer. This is why embodied practice matters so much. The body knows in its own particular ways. The nervous system registers truth, sometimes very much opposite to the narratives we currently favor. Conscience stirs before words give it voice. Bodhicitta leans in before we can even give ourselves a rationale. Samaya has valence, intelligence, and gravitas. The heart speaks its own language. Mystery is a kind of not knowing that does not weaken action. It grounds it. It keeps action from morphing into performance. It says, I do not yet understand, but I'm willing to meet this. I don't need to collapse into belief or stiffen into rejection. I do not need to hold life at arm's length. I can let the world surprise me by exceeding my concepts. Mystery has initiative, the capacity to move from what is clear enough to heed and respond and take one embodied step. This is very different than inertia, which says, not yet, not enough. I don't need to determine things in advance, but I want the whole road illuminated before I move my foot. The initiative of mystery says, this much is clear. This much I can do. This much can be heeded, and steps forward. This much. Inertia is waiting for certainty. Meanwhile, initiative is responding to that knowing that there is enough. This makes for a very different inner space. Confusion, delusion, the not knowing that is stuck is a kind of hubris that says, I choose what reality is allowed to ask of me. Whereas the initiative of mystery, a kind of not knowing that recognizes that actually somewhere in here I do know. I just don't know that I know. This is a kind of humility that says, I receive what reality has to say to me. This can be very tricky. Some of what we say around not knowing can sound quite wise. I'm sitting with things. I am being spacious. I do not have to figure things out in advance. I'm waiting for clarity. And guess what? Sometimes that's exactly right. We might truly need time. The body may need to settle, and the nervous system may genuinely need safety. The heart may ache to soften, and the brain may need more information. So I want to be very gentle here. Nobody is saying that pausing is necessarily lazy or cowardly. It may be a protective habit, a deeply conditioned response formed by old hurts, fears, and powerlessness. Something in us may have learned that moving is dangerous, that clarity is costly, that accountability exposes us to consequences that feel unbearable. So the heart hovers at the threshold and the body contracts. The mind lingers in limbo. There can be real tenderness there, real fear, history, maybe even trauma. This is precisely why Dharma does not shame ambivalence. Shame is not liberating, but neither is exalting ambivalence and calling it mystery. This is a very delicate point, a point of experiential practice that we each undertake for ourselves as our own best lamas. This is really valuable so that we don't risk letting I do not know becoming a velvet straitjacket, keeping us from acting with skill and meaning in our lives in a way that is wholehearted, free, and abundant. So how do we know which not knowing we're experiencing? Well, if we think of it as ambivalence or mystery, and of course, these are just poles on a spectrum. There could be a lot of space in between. Really juicy stuff for us to investigate. But on one extreme, we find ambivalence. Ambivalence avoids. It dulls the parts of us that already know enough to take the next step. Avoidance stalls us precisely where life is asking us to step forward, respond or regret, rejoice or repair, choose or grow. Ambivalence can anesthetize the heart and keep us from feeling our life experience in rich, meaningful ways. It can keep us in hubris, hiding from the claims of consequence. On the other side of the spectrum, we have mystery. Mystery moves. It motivates, inspires, initiates. It enlivens not knowing that we know. So mystery frees us to meet life where relationships ask something of us, where the body asks something, where the community asks something, where vows open a path before our feet, the student reaches, or our heart calls us to task in humility, heeding the call of clarity. So when you get down to it, ambivalence is the kind of not knowing that hides from life's claims because they feel costly. Whereas mystery is the kind of not knowing that humbly turns towards life out of abundance, willing to be moved. This approach does not flatten not knowing into a one-dimensional experience. We don't toss out not knowing because it's bad, nor do we turn it into something wise. Let's try and see what that's like in our own experience. Begin by just arriving and allowing the body to settle into a posture that is both settled and awake. Let the spine rise, undulating naturally, not stiffly. The shoulders soften. The hands rest just so. The jaw releases. The gaze softens either outwardly or inwardly. And from there, we just experience the body. Not the idea of the body or an image of the body. The lived body. Breathing and sensate. Let the breath flow. It is embodied. No need to try to make it spiritual. Now allow the attention to widen beyond the breath, letting all experience in, sensory experience, thoughts, images, emotions, memories. Nothing is forbidden, and nothing gets center stage. Nothing is evicted, and nothing gets enthroned. Next, turn the mind to an area of life where you know you do not know. Not the most overwhelming question that keeps you up at night, or the deepest wound you carry. Something workable, present enough to feel, but not so intense that it overwhelms. And let the simple phrase arise, I do not know. Feel into that. Where does it land somatically? Where in the body and how? Does the body soften or tighten? Does the mind open or shut down or get foggy? Does the heart turn sweet and intimate or armored and distant? No need to think about it. Experience it. Then continue to analyze experientially, not thinking, but almost like feeling the facial features of a loved one with your eyes closed and identifying them through your fingertips. That's the sense of experiential analysis in this meditative inquiry. Hold that not knowing in your experience again. Is it alive or dull? Humble? Defended? Actively curious? Or numb? Lingering? Is it spacious or suspended? Now let go of these words as signposts and just experience beyond words and concepts. No harshness needed. We're practicing intimacy. Let the body show you ambivalence. No need to label it a failure. It's simply a pattern, a reflex, maybe a hesitation or a hovering. Feel where and how it lives in the body. and be curious. Let it be included. Let it be known. Stay with it for a bit, learning what it's like, how it feels, so you can recognize it even amid confusion. Next, ask, what is this ambivalence protecting? What fear lies beneath taking that one next step? What consequence feels too costly? And what accountability feels too dangerous to name? Let the experiential analysis come however it wishes. Sensation, images, words, memory, silence. No need to force. Embrace this protective pattern in kindness. Now invite mystery, knowing that we do not know, in a way that is fresh and open. This is the clear, spacious field within which confusion arises. Just let the awareness be huge. Hold all of it. Confusion and ambivalence, mystery, knowing and not knowing, and the vast embrace of awareness. And deposit your question, your inquiry within that. No need to solve it or ignore it or get involved in its story. Just embrace it in the vast field of experience. Analyzing experientially still, consider, what is life asking of me? What does wisdom know? just beyond my conceptual reach? What do I already know enough to heed? If nothing comes, take the opportunity to stay with openness. If something does come, no need to grasp or tangle with it. Let it be simple and rest right within the naked experience of it. And when you're ready, gently begin to return the attention to the room, tingling to the body, and receive sensations. And please join me in dedicating all of the positivity and the momentum of this practice, that we and all beings may attain enlightenment. Having attained Buddhahood through this merit, may we defeat the enemy wrongdoing and liberate all beings from this ocean of suffering with its surging waves of birth, aging, illness, and death.